What's going on, guys? It's Tony K. Welcome back to Urban Girl Scout Media and for another episode of Living the Dream. Welcome back, everybody. It's Tony K, Urban Girl Scout Media. Living the dream as always, another episode. Hope you guys like the trick shot intro. Hope you guys like the new intro video. Today's episode is going to be fun. We've got another episode of Smoking with Tony. We've got another update on the Wraithrights. We're going to do another Crack a Pack. I've got a couple of things on my mind, a few news stories, and some skits. So I'm excited. Sit back because today's going to be really fun. And let's start it off with a couple of the news stories that really kind of captivated me this past week. This week I have two big stories that really caught my attention. First up is burger chain, the Burger King, is holding a study basically to feed their cows lemongrass. Substitute some of the regular grass for lemongrass. The main reason being is that beef, the methane from cow farts, production, all that stuff, it's a huge toll on the environment. I think we've gotten to the point where we're not giving up red meat. So yeah, we're trying to change the diets of the cows. According to Burger King, we're trying to change the diets of the cows, include more lemongrass, hopefully reduce methane emissions up to 33%, which you're thinking to yourself like, oh, cow farts, that's just funny. But these cow farts are actually really bad for the environment. And me personally, I love burgers. I'm not a big fan of this idea of the Impossible Burger. I really like my traditional red meat. So that is one of the new scientific, non-political, non-virus, non-pandemic things that's going on. And it's really meant to help the planet. I think it's pretty cool. And I also think it's really funny that we're doing a study on cow farts. The other big story I had today is kind of terrifying when you really think about it. Technology continues to evolve. Technology continues to move at this great pace. And there's good and bads to it, right? One of the bads here is this story. There is a company that makes devices for locksmiths, basically. And a locksmith is someone who you call when you get locked out of your car or home, whatever that looks like. Well, they've made this new piece of technology that looks exactly like a Game Boy Advance, where you can use it to get into automatic wireless vehicles, keyless vehicles, whatever you want to call it. And well, now thieves are getting their hands on it, and what's happening is they are using the old Game Boy Advance to break into your car. Now, the one saving grace here that kept me from completely freaking out was the fact that these are $25,000 a piece. But if you go to the company's website, what they will tell you is that these are only intended for use of locksmiths, things like that. It's like when you go to any store that sells any kind of pipes or bongs or anything like that, you're not allowed to say weed. You can only say tobacco use. Even when it's legal, they don't want to hear it. It's kind of the same thing. What you do with it once you walk out of the store is on you. They just have to assume that you're buying it for the right reasons. Terrifying, but very expensive piece. And luckily, my car is not worth that much money, so I don't have to worry about this getting stolen from me right away. But it does kind of show where the world is going when you think of thieves trying to remain at the front of technology. This is a pretty decent thing to invest your time and money into. The other thing that really gets me is that the Game Boy Advance SP, the little flip handheld system, that was a great system, and now it's going to kind of get a bad reputation, in my opinion, because people are going to mistake the two eventually as time goes on. I don't think they're going to do like this massive Game Boy build or anything like that. I think they're just going to keep it to that simple flip concept. But $25,000 for a car thief is not a lot of money when you consider how much they can steal cars for, how much some of these cars sell for, things like that. It's not that hard. Terrifying story, kind of cool, kind of interesting. Nintendo once again at the front of everything. But I thought that was really cool. What I want to do now is transition into, instead of one big thought this week, two big thoughts. Alright, so this week I've actually got two things for one big thought. The first thing I want to talk about is Politics. They're coming. Politics is coming, guys. And, you know, politics is kind of like Game of Thrones if you think about it. It's a very long, drawn-out process. There's generally some sex involved, some scandals. And then you think about the White Walkers, everything they touch, they just kill, pretty much. That's how I look at politics. Now, politics season is coming. We have an election coming up. I think that one of my biggest frustrations is that politics is based on opinions. Rules, opinions, things like that. There's very few facts in my world with politics because we create the rules of politics. So it really gets frustrating when the conversation is always insulting the other side. There's no collaboration. There's no talking. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. I don't care if you're up, down, left, right. I don't care if you're any race, any religion. There's always room to conversate. There's always room to collaborate. And part of what makes American politics really important is that we bring everyone together and we talk. I think there's too many people on both sides of the aisle that they see someone on the opposite side act this way and they feel it justifies them. Two wrongs don't make a right. Three lefts do. And I think that as long as we continue to allow American politics to be the cesspool that it is, to be the absolute shit show that it is, that we're going to insult one another, we're not going to have constructive conversations, we're not going to try and listen to people that have opposing views, which is a big deal. People on one side or the other only go and listen to news that covers what they believe in. They don't want to challenge themselves. I love challenging myself. And it's always going to be a work in progress because I'm not perfect at it, but at least I'm trying, right? That's the point here, is that we're trying. I think that when we stop trying, politics becomes even more toxic. I have a lot of friends who, and I have some family who, their political views, at times I have to kind of disengage from it because it's very hard to have these conversations. My ask, my request of all my scouts is, this political season, I don't care which way you go. If you want to support the rapper, the old man, or the orange one, I don't care. But don't insult other people for opposing views. Don't make the mask a political statement, either way around it, because it's not. And focus on the issues. Focus on what actually matters to the election. There's a lot of outside noise. There's a lot of stuff that gets brought in that we talk about as part of politics and has nothing to do with it. Politics has really turned into what sports media has turned into, just a giant debate show. Depending upon what network you go to is what you get. It's frustrating. It's annoying. It's counterproductive. And I think that we're setting ourselves up for generations and generations of kids to see this and think either that's how it's supposed to work, we're not supposed to collaborate, or they're going to look back at us and think we're complete fools. I believe we're idiots. I believe that the way we're handling this is completely inappropriate, and I think that it says a lot about our society that we can't even sit down for 5 fucking minutes and talk with someone of an opposing view without calling them a demitard or republipussy or whatever terms we use. I think it's really frustrating that we can't even do that. Like we can't have a mixed view conversation because everybody wants it to just be so one way or the other. And you know, November is a time for Thanksgiving, holiday season's coming up, football, things like that. I hate the fact that elections are always in the fall. I hate the fact that we spend so much energy on these things and then really after these few weeks everybody's going to turn into just insulting the other side, even more so than before. People who won are going to talk down to the people who lost are going to lash out to people who won. It's just a cycle. So let's try and break that cycle. Let's try and be the ones who create some change. I get it. Everyone has their personal opinions. There are opinions that I have. I do believe that our government as a whole is failing. I don't think it's just one side or the other. I think it takes a team effort to fail this bad, and they've done that. So let's work together. And you know, the other thing is, and this is really important, Democrats and Republicans the same commit scandals, went to the sex island for Jerry Epstein, rig elections, take lobbyist payoffs, and are shady human beings. I don't think it's just the politicians that are to blame. I think it's us. I think we need to elect better officials that want to work together. These old lifetime politicians, we need to get rid of them. These young radical politicians who only want to talk about their one side, who refuse to try and bring sides together, we need to get rid of them. We need to bring in a whole new perspective. And I'm available. Here in a few years, I'll be old enough to run for president. So that was the last qualification I had that I absolutely had to hit. So, maybe this next election I throw my name in the ring. Who knows? But regardless, guys, the season is coming. White Walkers are on their way. It's going to be tough. We're going to be fighting some fights. Let's say positive. Let's say engaged. Let's say collaborative. Let's conversate. It is more destructive to not talk to someone of an opposing view than it is to talk to someone of that opposing view and not change your opinions. It's more destructive to isolate yourself from that conversation than it is to have it. Keep that in mind. All right, and so for my second piece today on really just one big thought, the second piece, I'm actually going to take off the Bulls hat. We're going to go with something a little bit different here. Guys, we're going to talk about how we can make magic great again. So this last few weeks, VIP booster packs are announced. $100 a pop. They're putting non-rares into the premium foil, box topper rares, exclusive, whatever. Double Masters looks to be just insane. Value-wise so far, it looks like it's going to be pretty decent. But I think it's time that we have a conversation about the greed that is Wizards of the Coast. On my latest article this week of Mamba Market Watch, which debuts on Tumblr and then we put onto Facebook, I talked about how it's really intimidating for the mechanics of the game. The game itself is very complicated, and then you add in the pricing and all the components of different formats and things like that, and I think you're adding in a lot of complication and intimidation that is going to make it hard for new players to want to get into the game. It's going to make it hard for casual players to stay in the game. And I think eventually it's going to hurt the company itself as proxies and counterfeits are starting to become more and more prevalent. I've ordered proxies. I've ordered them off of the Wish app, the dual lands. I'm not going to bring my own dual lands out to the world and carry them around all the time if it's places that I haven't been before, things like that. I've always believed that if you have the card, having the proxy isn't that big of a deal. But the $100 booster pack is really upsetting to me. It's not that it's something I can't afford. It's not that it's something that doesn't have some value. It's that we're jumping into this next stratosphere of pricing for products that really don't warrant it. And I think it's kind of dangerous. A lot of people are talking about how sports cards are really doing that. How, you can buy a sports pack with only two cards. And from there, it's, you get some really good value potentially. I see Wizards doing this. I see them moving into the future, and I don't think they have a problem with it because they're going to try and find ways to be innovative more so outside the game than with the game itself. I think that they've possibly ran into the brick wall a few times with this game, and now it's just a matter of how can we extract the most money of it before the train comes to a stop. But what's funny, in my opinion, is that if you create a reasonable product that is both gameplay good, because we could argue that the last year standard's been a complete shit show, and is financially responsible both to the company and to the player, I don't think you have to worry as much. It's the most popular card game in the world, and I think that people want to play Magic the Gathering. I don't think they really want to deal with starting over. People like me who have a lot of money into their collections, who've been playing this game for many, many, many years, people who've been playing since the beginning, they don't want to start over. They just want this game to continue to be fun, continue to be playable, and we shouldn't be pricing people out. What I put in the article this week, and that's the second shameless plug, is Modern and Legacy have kind of gone through the same thing. Legacy first, now Modern's, kind of doing its own version of it, where the decks and the entry point get so expensive that it's hard to even get people into that, and then you have to create a new format like Pioneer. You have to ban cards that hold a lot of value, like fetch lands. I think that, we need to reprint fetch lands more. We need to there needs to be some changes. Let's just leave it at that. I don't want to go too deep in this because most of you don't give a rip about Magic the Gathering. You either play the game for fun or you're just listening to it because it's part of the show. But the one thing that everyone can understand is that when a company has success, one of the things that they should do is try and find ways to continue that cash flow, right? But one thing that they should not do while trying to bring in that consistent cash flow is figure out ways to price out their consumers more and more. Creating products where they say, this isn't for everybody, is actually a nice way of saying we're going to continue to inflate these prices so that we can get the most money out of you guys because we consider everybody whales. Which, take it for what you want. That is my big thought when it comes to Magic the Gathering, VIP, Double Masters, Boosters, Exclusive, Premium, Ultra, Mega, who knows what else we're doing. I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a recipe for disaster. I think you're going to start pushing people out of the game. I think card stores are going to buy these and they're going to jack the price up really high. And I think it's going to be hard to get your hands on this, more so based on the inflated pricing than the availability of the product. Alright guys, so that being said, that's the intro to this week's show. So for a skit idea this week, I had a thought, as I was talking about the elections and the politics and all that shit. What if we as regular humans had to answer press conference related questions in a press conference style during our regular days?
Can you talk to us a little bit about what your thoughts were on the drive-in today?
It was absolutely tough. Traffic was abysmal. It was just backed up for miles. We struggled with it. I'm glad the car was able to hold up because honestly, it's just horrible conditions out there. Bought gas this morning, thankfully before went into work, so had that ready to go. But it's absolutely frustrating, and a lot of the issues come from other drivers out there really just not paying attention and getting reckless behind the wheel.
It really sounded like there was some colorful language. What is it you were calling those other drivers?
Knuckle draggers and patient. So the rest of us kind of have to pay the price at times. Yeah, absolutely.
Could you talk a little bit about what you thought about lunch today?
I'll definitely be back again, and hopefully we get another victory next time we come here. Absolutely.
And what was the percentage you left on the tip for lunch?
Left them about an 18% tip.
You seemed a little annoyed with that meeting today. What is your relationship like with that presenter?
Just think about spending a weekend on a island with no trees, no sunscreen, and it is 120 degrees during the day with someone that you detest more than life itself. And I think that's a good summarization. Absolutely. What's going on, my scouts? Let's open a pack on the lake. Today it's going to be Core 2019. I don't really know what I'd be hoping for on this set, to be honest. Kind of a while ago. A lot of just good, decent cards that you play with, so we'll just skip right on down to the uncommons and go from there. So first, Aggies of the Heavens. Not bad. Nightmare's Thirst, another decent card. A little one-dropper. Departed Deckhand, not too bad. And our rare, got us a Mythic Planeswalker, Tezzeret. So not too bad, and nothing else to follow up on it, but that Tezzy, that's pretty juicy. So I figured we'd have to open something good at some point. We finally did. Put that up so it doesn't get ruined. Thanks, guys. guys, welcome back. So here we go. For this week's Smoking Meats with the Mamba, what I really want to do is show you guys kind of an interesting, different way of thinking about smoking meats. So when we think about smoking meats, and you will notice I take this very serious because there's no reason that you guys shouldn't be able to get delicious, easy prepared barbecue at your home. I mean, there's no reason. So I'm looking out not only for your magic value with the weekly Mamba watch, shameless plug, but also now with your taste buds. Come on, guys. So anyways, this week we went with something different. We went with chicken wings, smoked chicken wings, which is actually a much easier, much quicker process, all things considered. It only takes a few hours, and really like 2 or 3 hours depending upon what you set them at. So I'm gonna start this off with the seasoning shindig, show you guys what I did, a little bit of that, and then we'll come back, show you some of the done pictures, and talk a little bit after about what, kind of what this all looks like and why this is so awesome. And for this edition of Smoking with Tony K, we're gonna do chicken wings, one of my absolute favorite things to do. And here on this one, we're going to use some espresso rub, some smoked hickory flake salts, and then some good old onion powder, garlic powder, pepper of course, and we will just go from there. We'll have a bunch of fun with it, and guys, it's just going to be another great meal. Let's get to seasoning. We're going to put some oil on this, we're going to get it all set up, and we'll go from there. So there we go. That was the setup. Some images here across your screen, show you some of the finished products. So what I want you guys to know is that this was only a few hours. I actually started this at 4 o'clock and we ate at 7. So wings were thawed, it was about, threw them in, it was about 2.5, 3 hours, but I waited a little bit longer because I wanted to be a little selfish. But I didn't have the grill up or the smoker up very high. It was easy. Guys, this is so easy. So like, really, it's all about the seasoning, a little bit of oil, smoke. That's it. So I'm going to continue to do these. Our next episode is going to be, our next, our next edition of this, whatever you want to call it, is going to be doing multiple meats, filling the smoker, and doing them at different intervals. So we've done longer pieces, we've done shorter pieces, now we're going to do a little bit of both. And hopefully you guys have enjoyed these. We'll keep doing them, but again, it's real easy to make this stuff. It's not hard at all, and I hope that tell a friend or post it on your social media pages. Just be like, guys, this jackass Tony K makes smoking meat so easy. Smoking with Tony. Smoking with the Mamba, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that's what we got for this week. So hope you enjoyed it. The wings were delicious. As always, like there's no doubt in my mind. I know what I'm doing at this point. I'm not saying I'm a grill master. But I don't know. I feel like I'm getting closer every day. The journey is, we're closer to the end than the beginning of the journey to become a smoke master, let's just say. Alright guys, thanks so much. Alright, so just like I said, this week I'm going to talk about 3 of my favorite episodes from my favorite TV show, The Office. I've got my Dundie Award here, as you can see. My wonderful wife got this for me a few years ago. It is my Don't Go In There After Me award. And I really couldn't decide between the 3 of these which ones ranked where, so everyone's at the podium. I'll give a little bit of an explanation about the episode. I don't want to give away too much if you haven't seen it, and then I'll tell you exactly why I love it so much. So let's go ahead and get this rolling. Let's just start counting them down. First episode that we're going to talk about is the original Dundies episode. It's at the beginning of season 2. And it is the first time that we get to find out about Dundie Awards. Michael Scott, who is just the lovable office manager, is so committed to his branch that he creates an awards show. And there's all kinds of different things that you get One of the things I really loved about this episode is it actually contains the worst characters in the series. The guys who throw the food at Michael at the beginning of the episode. Really funny episode. Definitely worth the watch. So the next episode that's going to make our countdown today is Dwight's speech. And this, for anyone who's ever had to talk in public, you can kind of relate to why Dwight might be a little nervous. But if you watch the episode, he wins an award. He's very nervous about giving this speech. Michael gives him some tips. Jim's involved with his normal shenanigans and pranks. It's pretty great. And then the speech itself is pretty hilarious considering what he's using to give the speech. Again, I don't want to give away too much, but that is truly what made it so funny for me is public speaking is not my favorite thing. And then what he does during the speech, I just thought it was hilarious. So again, another great episode. We are warriors! Okay, and the last episode to make the top 3 for me of Office episodes is going to be the dinner party. And there was an article a few years ago that said that this is one of the darkest episodes just based on all the different things that it covers. The easiest way to break this episode down is you have Michael and Jan, you have Jim and Pam, you have Andy and Angela, Dwight's involved at some point, and it is essentially the most uncomfortable and just ridiculous dinner party when you talk about really passive-aggressive relationship issues. And one thing to remember when you watch this episode is, if that's how they are in public, imagine how they are in private. So that's always something that, like, if you ever do anything with other couples, this is a very relatable episode, and it's just really funny. There's some music in this episode that is just great. So just check it out, guys. That is my 3 episodes of The Office, the ones I would recommend over any others. If you were just to say, Tony, what's your 3 favorite? That would be them right there. What do you guys enjoy? What are your favorite episodes? Don't hesitate to tell me, because maybe I missed something. I mean, episodes like Scott's Tots was really good. Basketball in the first season was really good. Stress Relief, I was gonna pick that. I really was, but that's like really Stress Relief was just that first scene where the office is on fire and whatnot. So there you go. But yeah, there you go. That's my countdown for this week. Alright, there we go, guys. That's this week's episode. Oh, hang on just a second. You gotta take this off because, you know, some of you think that this is a political statement. Wearing a mask is a political statement. It's not at all. But that is this week's episode. I hope you guys had a good time. Make sure you're checking out some of the other content that I produce. I do a weekly Magic the Gathering article on Tumblr. I'm going to start releasing all the videos from today in individual shorter segments on YouTube throughout the week. So you'll be able to find anything that I've produced just going along the way. And really the last thing I wanted to end today with is the world continues to develop into this weird kind of uncomfortable place. And what I really want everyone to understand is that something that I'm working on myself and that I'm going to continue to work on is collaboration. We need to collaborate more. We need to work together more. I think I've said that several times in this week's episode. Really don't care what you think about it because I think it's the truth. You know, this country is founded on people of different specific opinions, but one larger opinion, and they collaborated together, right? So that's the same thing we got to do now. Let's just use common sense. Let's be decent to one another. Let's try and get through 2020 together. You know, we're just over the halfway mark, and if the first half was any indication, the second half's going to be just as crappy. So let's work together. We do have sports back as of the taping of this. MLB has started back up. I'm always going to be a Cubs fan, but I think because of how compressed everything's going to be, all sports are going to be together, and then just kind of life itself, I had to reduce my involvement in the baseball scene. Go Cubs go, let's fly the W. But at the end of the day, there will be minimal baseball coverage on this channel for the season. Hockey, basketball, football will be the 3 that I'll really focus on. But let's try and get out and enjoy the second half of this year. Let's wear the masks. Let's not make everything political. Let's try and work together. Let's be respectful to one another. Don't be one of those cunts that goes into a store that says masks are required and then cause a scene. And don't be one of those cunts that says, hey, I have a health condition. It should be against the law to claim a health condition that you don't have. And if you do have a health condition, get the proper paperwork so you can prove it and avoid becoming a YouTube viral sensation. Let's move away from the United States of shaming and let's move into the United States of collaboration. Thank you guys so much. That is this week's episode. Tony K, living the dream. We did it.